Lador Vador. From generation to generation. This is one of the foundational principles of Judaism, the idea that we pass on our mitzvot to our children. In fact, our most prominent prayer, which we read tonight, specifically commands us to pass on these traditions. I've been thinking for a few weeks now about reading the Shema V'Ahavta in English, but it also ties directly into what we're doing tonight. As I read this week's Parashat, in which the Israelites are freed after Adonai kills the firstborn male of all Egyptian families, I couldn't help but think of this concept. What is lost when a generation disappears? How is it that a people can ensure its survival if the number of young people available to learn from us is diminished? I know I've spoken about this a few times since August, but for those of you who don't know, I have two young children. This is not the first time I've read Parashat Bo since my son was born. He's 6. But it's the first time that I've seriously thought about its meaning and what we can take from it, what lessons we can learn from it for today. Last weekend, my family gathered in Hollywood, Florida, to commemorate my grandma's 90th birthday. It was her 90th birthday on Sunday. I think obviously this is a massive moment. 90 full years. I mean, she was going on cruises until a couple of years ago. I mean, it's a lot of years. This is absolutely worthy of celebration. In addition to, of course, my grandma's friends, there were 4 generations of Levins all together in one place for the first time in a long while. And as we celebrated together, it was beautiful to see how it still felt much like it did when my family would gather when I was a child. Except for now, it's my parents and my aunts and uncles who are the grandparents. They've taken on the roles that my grandma and grandpa played in my childhood. I'm now the parent, and my kids are now in my role. It's interesting to see how this sort of just continues on. The stories and the Levin family jokes that we used to tell when I was a kid, we, of course, told again the same jokes the same way and laughed at the same places. But, of course, now we have an added layer. My brothers and my cousins and I remembered our own childhoods with our grandparents. Family lore is something integral to family continuity. I know that there's no one in this room that doesn't have inside jokes and specific quirks that you celebrate and you share only with your family. They might make no sense to outsiders. I see nods. It's good, because this is the kind of thing that marks your family as a unique unit, separate from the outside world. Not in a bad way, but you should have those kinds of things with your family. These stories that exist in all families, and of course exist in the Levin family, come back whenever we gather at weddings or b'nai mitzvah or family reunions. Whether the event is happy, like a wedding or a birthday party, or whether it is an event of sorrow, we still gather and have the same shared collective memory. Late in this parsha, Adonai instructs the Israelites how to speak about what happens. This is after they've been freed. They've got almost no time to leave. Adonai tells the people to pass on the story of how Adonai passed over their houses so that successive generations will remember how Jews escaped slavery and then began the 40-year march to freedom. Memory is one of the strongest forms of connection, something that makes a group a group. Looking around this room, I can see that there is a wide breadth of Jewish experience and knowledge and education. There's perhaps people who are not Jewish or are exploring Judaism for the first time. There are people who maybe had a b'nai mitzvah and then, you were in high school and it wasn't quite what you wanted to do. And of course, there are those here who went to Jewish day school, and for those that for whom the services are second nature. It's beautiful. We're all engaged in the same basic activity, and we should always remember that regardless of where we are, everyone's reading the same Torah portion this week, saying the same prayers, and they're going to light the candles tonight saying the same words, whether they are here or in London or in Mumbai. I looked it up. There is a Jewish community in Mumbai. I thought it was interesting. These traditions that sort of bind the Jewish people as a family together might seem arcane and confusing to anybody who's not Jewish. But for us, they are extremely important. And this brings me back to L'Dor Vador, the idea of from generation to generation. The main aspect of this job that I've had now since July is the ability to build in all of you and in the UCF community a repertoire of Jewish knowledge and tradition so that you guys can then pass it on, can continue this millennia-old line of Judaism into the next generation, whether it's your own kids or as a teacher or however it is that you choose to pass it on. And as you go into this weekend of rest, I want to leave you the idea that Judaism is this big family with a continuity of memory. And that we have this responsibility to understand it and pass it down. Shabbat Shalom.